Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Dr. Bilal Smara. I'm a research officer at the National Reference Laboratory of Tuberculosis, Institute Pasteur of Algeria. Today, I, with my teammate Dr. Susan, will participate in the debate session about the topic: should African countries integrate genomics into national One Health strategies to address the human-animal-environment disease interface? We will represent the Affirmative Team, so we will defend the motion. So, Africa has borne and always bears a huge burden of infectious disease. A significant number of them are zoonotic. The One Health approach underlines the complex links between human, animal, and environmental health. However, this approach implies modern challenges which require modern tools. So, our position or our statement argues that genomics is the missing tool that will empower One Health strategies to be predictive, preventive, and precise. Integrating genomics is not a fantasy, is not a luxury, but a necessity for Africa's health security and economic stability. Our statement is that African countries should integrate genomics into national One Health strategies. This integration is a justified and beneficial policy for three main reasons. The first one is the proactive defense. This approach transforms our thinking from reactive outbreak firefighting to proactive pandemic prevention. The second reason is the precision and efficiency. Genomic solution enables precise public health interventions, saving both lives and scarce economic resources in the country. Sovereignty and empowerment. The third reason. The approach proposed builds local capacity, ensures data sovereignty, and empowers African scientists to solve African problems. This is a strategic investment of a healthier and more secure future for Africa. Our first argument is about preventing pandemics at source. The current state is that traditional surveillance often detects outbreaks only after they have jumped to humans. It's late. Making containments is always costly and difficult in this case. However, genomic solution allows for sentinel bridge surveillance in animal population and environments. By sequencing pathogens in wildlife and livestock before they spill over, we can identify potential threats and implement control measures early. The benefit is we can thus dramatically reduce the risk of large-scale epidemics. And if we talk about the cost, we can say that the cost of sequencing is negligible compared to the billions lost during pandemics like Ebola or COVID-19. We can sustain our argument by the example of programs like the Africa Pathogen Genomic Initiative, which are building this capacity for early warning. Our second argument is about precision public health for optimal resource allocation. Actually, in the continent, broad and non-targeted interventions can be inefficient, wasteful, and highly disruptive to economies and livelihoods. However, genomic solution provides high-quality data to trace outbreak transmission chain accurately. We can identify the real source, strain, and spread of the pathogen. The benefit thus enables precise targeted responses, for example, localized vaccination. This maximizes the impact of public health funds and minimizes widespread economic and social disruption. For example, the genomic sequencing was crucial in mapping the transmission of COVID variants and yellow fever outbreaks across Africa, guiding effective resource deployment. Our third argument is about combating antimicrobial resistance, which is a real One Health challenge. We have to say AMR is a silent pandemic. Resistant genes circulate freely between humans, animals, and environment, but we often lack the practical data to track AMR flows. However, the genomic solution is the only tool that can precisely track the origin and movement of resistant genes across all three One Health domains. We could thus provide evidence to create effective, data-driven policies on antibiotic use in clinical and agricultural settings as well. This protects the efficacy of life-saving drugs for future generations. The example is the genomic surveillance of bacteria in hospitals, farms, and wastewater can reveal hotspots and pathways of AMR transmission. Now, I let my colleague Susan to continue with the rebuttal. Thank you.
The rebuttal. The opposition might argue genomics is too costly and unsustainable. This view is outdated. The question is not, can we afford it, but can we afford another pandemic? The economic cost of inaction is astronomically higher. Furthermore, sequencing costs have dropped, making it a highly cost-effective investment. We are not arguing for an overnight overhaul, but for a strategic, collaborative, and phased integration that's fully within reach. The second position, lack of capacity and infrastructure. This view underestimates African innovation. Initiatives like PAPERI, Africa PGI, the African One Health University Network, Africa CDC, African Bioinformatics Institute, among others, are already building capacity and training a new generation of African One Healthy and genomic scientists. Who principles also address capacity building in regions with limited genomic infrastructure. By encouraging investment in local expertise and resources, the organization aims to close global disparities in research capacity, making genomic data practices more inclusive and sustainable. Alliances of field and lab training programs are ongoing in 31 African nations. For example, the Africa Field Epidemiology Network strengthened field and public health laboratory capacities to address disease outbreaks in Africa. Mobile sequencing technologies like the long-read Oxford Nanopore make deployment feasible anywhere. The third position, ethics and equity concerns. This is not urgent. It might be made through time. African nations address ethical and equity concerns in genomics by developing comprehensive legal frameworks. For instance, South Africa has both the Protection of Personal Information Act, which prohibits genetic discrimination, and by promoting cultural values like Ubuntu, broad consent for community engagement in genomic research. The World Health Organization has issued a set of principles for ethical collection, access, use, and sharing of human genomic data. These principles establish a global approach to help protect individual rights, promote equity, and foster responsible collaboration and transparency in genomic research. The fourth position. Priorities in One Health are vaccination, sanitation, and untargeted data surveillance, among others. Precisely, the genomic approach could guide these tools. The traditional means like quarantining, vaccination, among others, are non-specific, less efficient, and highly disruptive to communities and livelihoods. The human-animal environment disease interface needs a targeted genomic approach to supplement such means. In conclusion, the convergence of human, animal, and environmental health is the defining challenge of our time, especially for Africa. Genomics is a powerful, precise, and practical tool that makes the One Health approach actionable and effective. It is a catalyst that fosters proactive biosecurity, biosafety, and economic stability, as well as scientific sovereignty. It empowers Africa to protect its people and shape its own health destiny. For a healthier, safer, and more resilient Africa, the integration of genomics into One Health is not just justified, it is imperative. We urge you to affirm this notion. Thank you. These are our references, and for any questions, please don't hesitate. Thank you.